Welcome to Fast Cars, Fast Girls. We are your IndyCar experience. And this week, our annual President's Day episode, we have our favorite president, Doug Boles.
Woo!
Woo!
I'm excited to be here again. This is fun, and you have a new tagline since last time. The "We are the IndyCar, your IndyCar experience." I think is new, right?
It is.
Have I just missed that forever?
No, we did not have this time last year.
That's exciting.
It was a suggestion actually from Charles Hilliker. he said that we needed a tagline after Fast Cars, Fast Girls, and his example was like this is CNN or something like that. He's like, you need something bold. So
well, and anybody that knows you both and has been around you at an event, especially where you can camp out, know that bold is certainly certainly a middle name for both of you with the camping setups that you guys have and the fun people that you attract to them. So I think we are the IndyCar experience probably is a fitting tagline.
Well, thank you. We try to make it so. We try to describe all parts of the race weekends for people who can't go in person.
And hopefully next time they do come.
Yep.
It's funny though, you think about that, and we can't do at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway like what a Mid-Ohio or Road America or some of the permanent road courses can do, just because we weren't designed to have that camping experience really that you have at those other events. And it's a shame in a lot of ways that fans don't get to experience an Indy 500, an IndyCar event the way that you guys do when you go on the road, because it really is more than what's happening on the track. And you guys have created such friendships with so many of the fans, and how much fun fans have, hanging out and enjoying the atmosphere. It's really not just about what's on track, and it's what makes, following the IndyCar circuit so fun. And even skipping and going to a 24-hour Daytona race and some of the things with the same IndyCar fans. I wish other fans that just think you buy a ticket and sit in the grandstands at a certain event ought to try and experience it the way that you guys have.
Well,
I agree. But thank you very much. But yeah, it is so much more than just what's going on track. And, our friends that we've made through IndyCar, we just call our race family now. It's like we've crossed, we're way beyond friends at this point. We are, because when you camp next to somebody, that is, I say that's a whole new level of friendship.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But it really does. It makes the race. So for instance, 2 years ago at Iowa, when the race finished up at 2:00 in the morning, and there was that tornado that came through,
right.
We had 4 friends with us, and we laughed about how, objectively, it was like the worst race weekend ever. It was 1,000 degrees every day, and then we had a tornado, basically. And then, it took forever to clean off the track, and the race ran super late, and everybody's exhausted. Our tent was destroyed, but we had so much fun, and we just laughed our butts off the whole weekend, and it ended up being one of our favorite weekends just because of the group that we had.
Yeah, that it's true. And then I remember I didn't get a chance to go that weekend, but our youngest Carter went with my dad, and they drove over, and just trying to stay in touch with them that whole, especially that day when everybody didn't think the race was going to get in, and then it got in the middle of the night, and I can't imagine hanging out in a tent as all that was going through, because you're right, you spent 2 days just sweating, and then all the next thing you know, you're trying to hold down your tent from blowing away and freezing, and it's craziness.
We went out to eat one of the days to a local bar called the Checkered Flag. It seems fitting. And we picked them specifically because they advertised they had air conditioning. It was broken.
Yeah, turns out they did.
We walk inside, and we see the exact same fan that we have at our campsite.
That's funny.
And we were just like, all right, so I guess we're just not going to get AC.
Doomed from the start, but...
But yeah. Well, and other campers, because Molly is the perfect DJ for rainy events. Any song that has to do with rain, at all, or, sunshine, etc., rainbows. And at one point, we had the entire campground singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
That's the best.
It was fun.
But I'm serious, though. I mean, that is part of what makes, following the IndyCar Series fun are those moments when on track isn't going on and you can camp at the facility and you're hanging out with a bunch of other people that love the same sport that you do, and you do make friendships that you never would have expected to make just because of that common bond. And it does, like I said, it is the thing that I think I wish we could do, and we tried to replicate it a little bit with the IndyCar Grand Prix, having some camping inside for that event. But it's just not the same as a facility where you can line the whole place with campers and tents, and it's just, we're just not designed for that. But that is part of what makes travel on the road to an NTT IndyCar Series race so much fun. And then you see the same people then at the next race, or like I said, you guys all figure out who likes going, and you get a group of you that goes to a 24-hour race, and you buy couches on Craigslist, and I mean. I have more fun. I have more fun going to races and hanging out with fans because of that, really, than even watching the race. It's a blast.
It is.
It is. I think. Well, and I think there is some camping around IMS, but it's not quite the same. But I say we know some people in Lot 2 that have a really great time camping.
Well, but the camping experience is completely different here, and it is fun. But there's just something about being in the woods at Mid Ohio or up on the hill, at the at Road America. Those are fun experiences.
They are,
and hopefully this upcoming season we can get back to the full experience. I mean, it was there last year, but fingers crossed. No,
I think we're all hopeful for that. I mean, I think. Jay and everybody at the IndyCar Series did a great job of getting our racing in last year, so that we could at least watch it at home, and even some of the events where we were able to have fans, and we were thrilled to have the few amount of fans that we were allowed to have here in October when we raced alongside our GT Challenge event that went on here. But
and that was a great weekend, by the way. We had so much fun.
I agree. It was a lot of fun, and it's one that obviously isn't on the schedule for this year, but it's certainly. The GT Challenge is on the schedule, but the IndyCar component of it isn't at this point. And hopefully we don't need it as a place for IndyCar races because we get everything in. But I guess presumably if you needed it, we'd be here. But we got a lot of great fan feedback from that, just because it was the fall, the weather was nice, the racing, especially the Friday race. Was an outstanding race, and honestly, I thought it was fun seeing all the GT cars out on track too. There was a lot of great content, and I think obviously we were all desperate to hang out at our favorite place on earth with a lot of our closest friends, and we just hadn't been able to do that all year. So it was kind of the one moment we got to be in our happy place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it was kind of that. I'm sure for us fans, it was super important. I can only imagine how important it was for you all to be like, finally, we can put on an event. We'll have people here. The videos of you and Roger welcoming people in is just so special to see, especially with everything. So it was a great event.
So I've been here 10 years and 3 months and 3 days. 10 years, 3 months, and 3 days. And I would say that moment of opening the gates for the Harvest events with Roger was a top 5 moment that I could say that I've had here. Just because he was so excited to let fans in, and then the fans were so excited that Roger opened the gate and Roger walked down the line and fist bumped or elbow bumped everybody that was out there, and just to see, the smile on his face, but also, just the excitement that the fans had, they were getting to come in, and that, obviously Roger is nothing but pure class, and the fact that he did that, I think, just solidified that for folks, that here's a guy that understands that we don't get to have these races without the fans, especially those fans that are, willing to stand in line and as soon as you open the gates up, be the first to come in. So it was a really, really neat moment to just really watch him and then watch the interaction, the fans had with him and how much fun he had. So I'm hoping, like all of us, that we can do that for the 500 so that we can, I can't wait for people to sit in the paddock and check out the new video boards that are there for those folks that sit in the paddock. And I can't wait for a practice day when we're all standing around in Pagoda Plaza and that 100-foot board that people haven't gotten to experience yet. Just the music and the video and the NTT data that it pushes through, and it's so weird last year to have all this stuff here and not be able to share it, and that's really sharing the experience is why we all love the 500 anyway, and I just can't wait. I know Roger can't wait either.
Oh, I'm sure.
We can't wait either if that doesn't. We really can't. Well, in addition to Roger Penske just being a class act, what I love the most about him and the IMS is that I think even people who weren't necessarily Team Penske fans can appreciate that he has just the biggest grin on his face when he's there, like he's a kid in a candy shop. And when, it was announced last year, he basically said that it was like his dream and he felt like a little kid. And I think that excitement shows through as well. And so it's like, even if, you didn't root for his drivers, you can't help but like the guy because deep down, he's just a race fan like the rest of us.
Yeah, and that's exactly true. I mean, there are people, that the Penske team wins a lot, so people don't like teams that win a lot, right? So you want the underdog or your driver doesn't drive for Penske, so you root for somebody else. But at the end of the day, he cares about this place just like every one of the other, our fans do. And he wants the experience to be better. And the fun part, I think, for us, the Speedway, is if you think about the 50-plus years that Roger's been competing here, most of his experience at the Speedway has been between the garage area and pit lane, right? And with the occasional trip to victory lane. And he hasn't been able to experience the race like a fan. And so a lot of what we were doing leading into the 500 before we had it was walking through the fan experience with Roger and him saying, well, let's fix this for the fan and let's fix this for the fan. And he just couldn't wait to see a lot of that stuff in real application when we were able to get fans here. So I think the excitement that he has right now will be even more so when he can do it with fans. And one that we were touring he's got seats everywhere here. Over the years, he's got a ton of tickets and seats that he has, but he's got some really, really good seats in the penthouse in turn one. Fantastic seats. And we were up one day and he said, where are my seats up here? So I called Linda in the ticket office and asked Linda to give me the section of seats where Roger's seats are. So we took Roger to his seats and he said, oh my gosh, this is better than a suite up here. I can't believe how good these seats are. And fans get to experience this. And it's neat for him to look at it through the eyes of a fan and really want it to be better for the fan and have to be able to step away from looking at it through the eyes of a competitor. I say that, and we also did some improvements in the garage area and some other things that were helpful for all the competitors. But the main focus has really been on Roger Penske looking at the Indianapolis 500 through the eyes of a fan and how does he make it better. And that's why we can't wait to have people here, because we want the feedback and the ability to just continue to make it better year after year.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was kind of just the worst timing ever with COVID.
No, it depends on how you look at it. It was the worst timing ever, or maybe the best timing ever, in the sense that if you're Rogers, sure, it's not the best timing. But if you're
because he's kind of an instant gratification kind of a guy. Like if he has a task, he wants it done ASAP.
For sure. And so for him, that's frustrating. But as a fan, there's probably not a better time for COVID to hit than when you know that Roger Penske is at the helm and he's gonna find a way to navigate us through it. And literally, I had a couple conversations with him that I'll never forget, where he just talked where he should have been as down as anybody, and there never was a point where there wasn't that Roger Penske energy and that Roger Penske attitude of, we're going to be fine. It's an opportunity. No matter how you look at it, it's an opportunity, and we're going to come out on the other side. Or you'd hear him say something like, well, we just hit the wall in turn one, but we're still a lap ahead, so we're good. I mean, it just, the things he would say, he has never once said, oh, this is terrible. He's always said, we're gonna win this. And so, do we want COVID? We wish it hadn't happened. No, we don't want it. Yes, we wish it hadn't happened. But if it was going to happen, having Roger Penske steering the ship is the time to have it happen.
Absolutely.
That's true.
No, it is. This was, I think everybody knows, was a horrible year for all sorts of businesses, and that he was like, it's cool, we're going to just get through this. That's a big testament to him, and I think everybody else who works in the series, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, no, and I talked a little bit a few minutes ago about just Jay and his team and how they really figured out a way to make races happen, and frankly, a lot of the promoters, did the same thing, figured out how to make sure that we had races happen when it might have been just as easy to fold the tent and say we'll see you in 2021. And again, now a lot of that goes back to Roger's leadership and direction. But I'm just really encouraged about the future, just because we've got a guy that certainly cares about our fans, and isn't letting problems keep him from getting us to the finish line.
Absolutely. And looking forward, we're getting kind of ready to start everything off. I suspect that like the thing you're most excited about is like, all right, fans to the door at 2021. Is there something else? What kind of big things or big ideas are you really excited about, or you can't wait to do for 2021?
Well, you touched. I mean, the biggest thing is just having fans here. I think that's the biggest thing, and I'm really, really excited for people to see and experience, the new video boards. The Georgetown Road. It seems like it shouldn't be it's just a widening of the backside of the grandstands. But I can't wait for people to experience I still every day when I walk around the facility and I walk up north from the admin building, it just feels so much newer and nicer, and you feel less constricted. So I think I'm looking forward to that, and just getting the feedback from the fans. I'm also honestly looking forward to our schedule a little bit this year. We aren't doing quite as much on-track activity as we've done in the past. So like our SVRA race we're not going to do this year, and the Champ Car endurance race we're not going to do, and some of the other things. And I'm looking forward to that for the staff, so that what we're really doing is just focusing on major events. So if you think about our schedule this year, we've got May, obviously, with the GMR Grand Prix, and then the Indy 500. And then June is basically a month where we're going to be able to reset the facility, get it cleaned up, get it ready to move into July. And in July, we've got a Ferrari Challenge event, which I hope we can have fans for this year. Finally, it's a really fun weekend with Ferraris racing, and then rolling into the Brickyard weekend and getting to have a triple header, not just a double header at the Speedway for fans to come enjoy. You didn't get to do that last year, right? To be able to see the road course, Indy cars, and Xfinity and Cup, I think it's going to be an awful lot of fun. And our fall is crazy. I mean, we've got a Porsche weekend that I think will be another fun car weekend, racing weekend for fans. And then the SCCA runoffs, which we had here in 2017, are back.
So yeah.
700
awesome.
plus of the best. Yeah, 750 plus of the best amateur drivers in the world here. And then, closing out with the GT Challenge and the Indy 8-hour. It's and then in and amongst that is this Indy Autonomous Challenge that we've got going, and that'll conclude October. So we've got a lot of real high-profile events that I think will make for a lot of fun this year. But it's spaced out in a way that I think is good for our staff, and is also good for fans to not feel like they have to be out here every weekend, but we're spaced out enough that they need to be out here every month at least.
That does sound like a great schedule, and send the names of the people who would dare complain about being at the IMS every weekend.
Right? Yeah, I'm like, I love a reason to come to the track every month.
Yeah. The one honestly, the one thing I'm really looking forward to is, so we'll we'll have an open test here in April on the oval, so 2 days in early April. I'm actually really looking forward to that, and I'm just really hoping that we're in a situation where, obviously, we're still probably in a situation where social distancing is important and wearing masks and those things are still important, but hopefully in a space, in a time where we can have fans out and we can sit on the spectator mount in turn 2 and watch cars run around and go, oh my gosh, it's almost May, and I can bring donuts out to fans, and Chris Blair from Gateway can come over and set up a tent, remind people they got to go to the Gateway race, and all the fun stuff that is the kickoff of the season, and seeing fans that you haven't seen for a few months sitting on the mounds in turn 2. So that's I'm really hoping that's that we're in a spot where we can do that this year.
Absolutely. That is the moment where everything feels regular. That first moment you just sit at the turn 2 mounds and you're like, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. You're like, all right, it has begun.
Absolutely.
Which Chris Blair, by the way, I know you mentioned we have a lot of great, fellow track presidents and promoters, etc. But man, he does an awesome job. He actually dropped by my mom's the morning of the 500 this year.
That's awesome. No,
we had tweeted at him, and then I sent him a direct message, and I was like, seriously, if you want to stop by, I'm like, we're having breakfast. We got people bringing food all day long. Like, come on by and grab something to eat before you go and hang with the fans on 16th Street. And he actually came out.
We've had a really good relationship with Curtis Francois, who owns the Speedway, and with Chris, and I think we hit it off. We hit it off immediately because we both love fans so much, right? And we both care so much about trying to make the fan experience better. And typically, he's not sending somebody else out to talk to the fans, and I'm the same, right? And so the two of us just really hit it off and have just traded stories, and we trade mailing lists and connect people with folks, and it just we want each other to be so successful, and we care so much about the fans. It's been a fun relationship to have. And they love IndyCar racing, right? I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, Curtis and Chris love IndyCar racing, so it's pretty easy to get along with them. And it's a great race, honestly. And for people that haven't been to Gateway, it's one that they should put on their bucket list because it's not a terrible drive, and it's a fun race.
And there's a couple of casinos.
Yes, there are. Yes.
Yep. That is always part of our weekend.
Yeah.
Even this year, just tons of hand sanitizer and masks.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It is funny how I realized the other day that it just hit me that I'm now used to. I walked out of the office one evening going home, and I got in my car and I started driving away, and I realized I was still wearing my mask, and I thought, okay, so I'm getting used to this, and and basically every little compartment in my truck I have hand sanitizer, so it's just become part of our daily lives, I guess, and we just hope, like I said, we just hope we get to a spot where we can get back to what's a little more normal, and certainly have fans here.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that I think we're gonna come to that herd immunity place from two different aspects. One would be people who have already had COVID and have recovered, and then other being people who are vaccinated. And so we're coming at it from two different angles. Unfortunately, we prefer to be heavier on the vaccinated side than the people who had it. But I think that is going to help in us, getting back to some type of normalcy. And I will say, as a nurse, I know it was kind of like a non-announcement that was made, but I want to say thank you to IMS and all of IndyCar leadership that did not try to cut the line by getting a vaccine before they were allotted one. So
yes, we have.
That is something that makes a big difference to me personally.
We are definitely waiting in line and looking forward to the day that we're able to go get them. So
yeah, absolutely.
We will. We'll be there when it's time. I just hopefully we can continue to take care of the people, frontline workers that obviously need it, and then our elderly who are most susceptible to the virus. So I know we're patiently working through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think actually my parents got theirs. My parents are both my mom will be 80 this month, and my dad will be 80 in October. But they got theirs, and I was excited that they haven't had their second dose yet. That's coming, but excited that they're getting it. So that's good. I was not sure whether or not they'd be ready to get it as soon as they could, or whether they'd want to wait and see what was happening. But the day that they lowered it to 70 years old, my folks signed up, and a few days later they got their first round. So I'm excited for them.
That's awesome.
I think that's also what happened to my parents. It's a nice weight off your shoulders when your parents get the vaccine. You're like, okay, at least you're fine.
And it's funny you say that, because I don't know that I would have thought that it would have felt that way for me, but there was some. It was like, okay, well, I feel, and a lot of people in the sport know my dad. He's around all the time, and my dad you can't tell my dad what to do, and my dad is out and about, and it's like, for him, in a lot of ways, it's like nothing's going on. I mean, he wears his mask and does that, but it's not like he stayed in his house. And so for me, the fact that when they got that, I was like, wow, there's some peace in knowing that now that if he's going to stay out and do his thing, at least we've got that piece through there. So that's good.
Yeah, no, I
awesome.
get that feeling.
Yeah, no, I say I felt relief when your dad got his vaccine too, Molly. I was like, okay, all right, because if anybody has cabin fever this year, it is Chick. Yeah, with that lung transplant, he couldn't risk anything. So we had a COVID safe Indy 500 celebration this year. And, our race family from Pennsylvania, the Payne Tour, they had seven of them that came out. They called themselves the Magnificent Seven. And then, just some of our regulars every year, and Molly's older sister came out, and so I had sent out an email, because there were some people that were friends with our Pennsylvania friends locally that I didn't really know, and so I just wanted to kind of manage expectations, because nobody was allowed into like the regular part of my mom's house. We used the basement toilet so that like nobody would be breathing her air and touching her things. And I was like, you must wear a mask when you go inside, and this and this. And then I was like, also, this one's non-negotiable. I don't care if you're outside or not. When Chick shows up, you put your mask on. And the funniest part is that Chick shows up, sees everybody else is wearing a mask, and then he just drops his.
Yeah.
He's so crazy.
He was like, oh, well, I'm covered.
That's crazy.
Oh, but yeah, I was like, I mean, outside you're definitely safer, but I'm like, I will not be the reason. My party will not be the reason for Chick to get some.
Yep. That's a wise move.
But
you mentioned, going back to the schedule, the IndyCar, NASCAR triple header. How do you, we've been talking about that, thinking about it. I mean, obviously, like, IndyCar fans are going to show up for IndyCar, but how do you expect the crossover? Do you think a lot of IndyCar fans will stay for the NASCAR event and vice versa, or will it be like a rumble, maybe like a little Jets versus Sharks action going on?
Yeah, I hope there's not a rumble.
Well, yeah.
not sure that we need to do that as race fans, even if we're not fans of of all the series. I think it's important that as race fans we protect each other and just help our sport. So I'm hoping that's where we are. When NBC Sports took over the IndyCar broadcasts in the fall, before that happened, they had an NBC Motorsports Summit out east, and they invited all of their motorsport properties to come and be part of it. So everything that was covered on NBC or NBCSN, including like Mecum auctions and some of the motorcycle stuff they had, and flat track, a lot of that. We were all out there, and they presented to the industry really as a whole. And one of the things that they threw out is how, for them, they really thought it would be great if there was a way to have a doubleheader NASCAR Cup and IndyCar on the same weekend at the same racetrack. And at that point in time, people talked about, Eddie Gossage was pretty vocal about it being a Texas Motor Speedway. Pocono was interested and secretly I wanted it to be here. So when we got back home, I told Mark, I said, I'd love to figure out a way to do that. And Mark was supportive, but we also were not sure how that was going to work or what event it could be, because it certainly wasn't going to work in May, and at that point in time, the IndyCar schedule didn't have an opening where we could have put it on a NASCAR weekend. So there were a lot of challenges to get there. So the one really good thing that came out of COVID was the fact that we needed a place to put the GMR Grand Prix. NASCAR was running here on 4th of July, and we'd made the announcement that we'd be in road course configurations for Xfinity. So we got to do it last year, unfortunately without fans. So this year I'm excited because, with fans, what I would encourage an IndyCar fan to do, if you didn't see the Xfinity race that Chase Briscoe won here on the road course last year, go find it on YouTube or wherever and watch the last 5 laps of that race. It was an outstanding race, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think the Cup race will be the same. And so Saturday of that weekend is going to be Xfinity qualifying, an Xfinity race, Cup practice, and an IndyCar race all on the same day. That Saturday is going to be an unbelievable day not to miss. And I think people will, and it'll be great racing throughout the 2 races you see. And I think the first day the Cup drivers are on course is going to be a blast, right? Because they will have never been here before. They're going to miss braking points. They're going to miss turn-in points like you do when you first start learning a racetrack. And so from a fan standpoint, I think it'll be a pretty entertaining day. And then Sunday this year for the Cup race they're going to qualify and race on the same day, which will be fun. A lot of the things we've done the last few years with the Cup race has been nothing but the race. So to have both earlier start this year, so it'll be better for fans to get in and get out and not have to get home late on a Sunday night for that. So I'm hoping we can get people to stay. I do think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I look forward to hearing the fan feedback. There are a lot of opinions on the front end, right? Of some people, they're all over the spectrum. How dare you not run on the oval? How dare you run on the oval? How dare you have Cup anyway? All the different things that you hear from fans. I just hope fans give this one a chance, and then I'll look forward to hearing from fans after they've given it a chance, and we'll see what the future holds.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and Molly and I always joke that, the worst thing you can do for motorsports fans is give them exactly what they ask for. It's one of those, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's always somebody that's going to be upset. But
here's how I look at that, and I'm a fan, right? We're so passionate about our sport, and we understand our sport a lot, and we're opinionated about our sport, and we're not afraid to give our opinions. And that's really what makes our sport great. And you may not agree with what everybody says, but I'll take passionate, opinionated fans all day long over people who are ho-hum and don't really care about it. So it certainly can get frustrating when there's just the negativity that happens out there, but I try and look at it as the glass half full. These are people that care about our sport. They have an opinion. They invest their time, their money, and their energy in it. It's a lot better than having people who could care less about it. So
that's very true.
Bring the comments on all day long, because seriously, it is what makes our sport special and our fans special.
I absolutely agree. We are definitely not fair weather fans. We are not just
a lot of
passion or lukewarm or any of that. A lot of passion. And a lot of like legacy fans too. Everybody's always got a story of, grandma, grandpa took me to a racetrack, and this is why we always root for Chip Ganassi, and
Yeah, and that's part of the reason too why when change happens, it's really difficult for people, because especially at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, because part of what makes this place special is every May when you walk in here, you do remember, and I remember every day when I come to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to work. I remember the first time walking through the front gate with my dad for my first race, and the emotions I had and how much fun it was to be with my dad at the Speedway watching AJ Foyt win his 4th Indianapolis 500. And so when you come back year after year after year and you sit in the same seats, and then you lose family members who may have been in those seats with you, and you replace them with a younger family member, you start changing some of that tradition. It's hard, right? Because what makes it special is you show up every year, and this is the place my dad brought me to, and the seat looks pretty much like the seat did and that's why even in Project 100, when we did all the things in Project 100, we talked at one point about, do you tear down the front stretch and build a brand new grandstand? Well, the answer is no, because that brand new grandstand doesn't feel like the grandstand that Grandpa or my brother or my dad or whoever introduced me to. So, when we put the green chairs in the upper deck, got rid of the benches and put those green chairs up there, one of the consultants who was working with us said, now, what racetracks do is they put these spotted chairs up there. And I'm like, we're not putting spotted chairs at the Speedway. Green is our color here. And so we're going to at least try and stay true to, to some of the things that make us different and special. And I do think that's part of the reason that fans get emotional about even subtle changes in the way you go forward.
Absolutely. And I will say, Molly and I both fully support not doing the spotted chairs up there because we don't need them at our track. We don't need chairs that look like somebody's sitting in them because for the 500, they're full.
But honestly, I 100% agree with it. But even on races, it's not full. I want it to look like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not like something else. So that's kind of why we said, no, it's okay. And if we have a race where we don't fill up all the seats, it's okay. We are who we are, and we're going to be proud of who we are.
Absolutely. I love it. All right. Well, we'll do one more question, and we'll let you go because we know you're a busy man. So, Molly?
Oh, all right. I get to ask it. All right. We're gonna put you on the spot here. It's a two-parter.
All right. Okay.
With your gut, because we know with your heart who you want. We get that. But with your gut, who's going to get pole and who's going to win the 500 this year?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, the first thing I think about when you say that is last year. And one of the I wish Marco Andretti could win the pole with 50,000 people in the venue instead of winning the pole with 1,000 people outside the gates, kind of listening and watching what they could see on the video board. It was one of the more magical moments of May for me. I've had a tradition really since I've been president where Carter and I typically go down into turn 1 in the upper deck and sit and watch the Fast 9 down there. And this year I thought I'm going to do the same thing, but in order to do it, I had to go outside. So I went and stood in the lot across the street from Tunnel 2, right there between the turns 1 and 2 in the short chute, and hung out with the fans. And just to hear the fans just go crazy when Marco won was pretty magical. And at the same time, it was kind of sad because for a name that's meant so much to race fans in this facility to sit on the pole and for Marco not to really get to experience it, man, I wish.
Not get to hear everybody in the stands cheer and echo. And
I really wish he could experience, get a second one in a row just to experience that. I think for me it's still too early to tell where we're going to be on an Indy 500 winner, but it's really hard to root against. Or pick against, I guess root against isn't the right, but to pick against, a Penske or a Ganassi or an Andretti driver just because the resources that those teams have. And I would be really surprised if Chevy wasn't back really trying hard after not getting the pole last year. So I think it'd be interesting to see what Chevy's done in the off season.
Yeah, I agree.
So, obviously the stepdad in me has one person he'd certainly love to see win the Indianapolis 500 in Connor, and even as a promoter, a local kid winning the Indy 500, Ed Carpenter winning the Indy 500, this place would erupt, right?
It would. It might rival the crowd when Tony Kanaan won.
It might,
or even be higher, because
No, you think about just the local boy factor with either one of those guys on that team. There's so many great stories in the paddock right now that there's really not a bad one. You start thinking about just even some of the one-off drivers winning would be a pretty cool thing. Although it's always good to have a full-time guy win because then the other promoters can promote the Indy 500 winners at their place. So I'll give you a prediction as we get closer, but let a little bit of at least the preseason testing get under our belt.
Sure.
I'm not trying to dodge your question. I just don't even know where to begin yet.
No,
you are dodging. That's a non-answer answer. Very lawyer of you.
I'm just getting ready to run for office.
There you go. Well, all right. We're on for your campaign. Awesome.
I believe we both said that we would absolutely vote for you.
Well, I pretty much enjoy my my job here and my constituents and the 300,000 plus Indy 500 fans. Hopefully I can continue to be reelected by them.
I don't know if you saw it, but we actually did a poll about who everybody's favorite president was of the different tracks.
Yep.
Did you see this on Twitter?
I didn't.
Okay, so we said, who is your favorite track president? A, Doug Boles, because I like his suits. B, Doug Boles, he brings Longs and Miller Lite.
Not always together. They don't. Those are separate. I bring Longs and then later I bring the Miller Lite. I don't bring.
Yeah.
It was like C, Doug Boles, because I love his wife Beth. Every answer was you, but you won overwhelmingly. Well,
I hope the answer was C that won that, because that's the one positive quality that I have is that one. So, and I hope people know I wear the suit because the brand deserves it. If I wasn't representing the brand specifically, I would be in a pair of jeans and a T-shirt that had some sort of Indianapolis Motor Speedway logo on it. But
sure.
I wouldn't. The tie is all about this place means so much to so many people. And when I'm fortunate enough to represent it, and I just feel like it deserves the respect of a tie. And I know a tie isn't the hippest thing in the world, but to me it just I hope it sends the message that I really care about this place, and I know this place means an awful lot to people. And if I'm going to represent it, I'm going to take the trouble to put a tie on every day.
I love that. The year I graduated from the year I graduated from college, and I saw that you had tweeted a photo, I think, in the last 2 weeks, talking about how you love how people used to dress up for the 500.
Yep.
And in my mom's, in the half bath on the first floor, that's our Indy 500 bathroom, and it's all checkered out and has these great 8x10 black and white photos of my mom and her siblings and family and friends going to the 500, from the 60s and 70s. And, I'd seen these photos for years, and, some of the women in these photos, it looks like they got their hair done like they're going to prom, and they were just coming to the Indy 500. And so I had seen all that, and I finally thought at some point, you know what, I want to bring some of the pageantry back, like in my own attendance. And that is the story of how wearing a checkered dress on race day started for me. And so Molly and I both do that. And I'm like, it's race day. It's important. Like, no, we're dressing up a little bit. It doesn't matter that I've been camping at Mud, Ohio for 4 days and that my feet are so dirty. I'm putting on a dress on race day because that's what we do.
Yep. No, I appreciate that you guys do that, and I'm happy with the fan that shows up in his tank top and his cut off jorts, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's part of the experience, but I also, there's something to be said for, this place means an awful lot, and you guys get it, and certainly for me, it just is it's my way of showing the fans that we appreciate everything they've done. And if I'm gonna represent this place on behalf of the 300,000 plus that are here every day, I'm putting a tie on.
Makes sense to me. All right.
Oh, well, I appreciate all you guys continue to do for the sport and the fun you guys have with it. I mean, that's the other thing. It's important that we all just continue to remember, even when we have those opinions that we just talked about a little while ago, that it is fun, and it should be an escape for all of us. And I try and keep politics out of it and keep focus on the fun side and the on-track stuff and the personalities in the sport. And hopefully this place can continue to be an escape for people and can be a place that, people are passing down generation to generation, so that long after I'm gone and others are gone, this place is still thriving and a place that people can't wait to get to every May.
Well, I think there's nothing else that can be said. That was perfect.
Yeah. On that note, we'll go ahead and end. You guys know where to find us on social. Everything's linked to our website, www.fastcarsfastgirls.com. And, of course, you can find Mr. Doug Boles on Twitter. What are you, at
JDouglas4.
There we go.
And I'm on Instagram, too. I can't quite figure Instagram out.
Molly can tutor you in that. She is an expert.
Yeah, I need to get better at that because it seems
I love the photo.
I'm working on it.
It's
So there you go. There's your 2021 goal.
There you go. Yep.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thank you again so very much. Always
Thanks,
a
Abby.
pleasure.
Thanks, Molly. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And give Beth our love.
You got it.
All right. Bye.
All right.